Welcome, I'm Adjoa Henderson. Today I have a special guest here with me, 5th District candidate, Mr. Jer'Mykeal McCoy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you so much for agreeing to come.
No problem.
So we'll get right into it. So I know you have a mass comm background, but I want to know what piqued your interest in just joining the political field.
One, making sure that people were aware about the issues that are going on locally. A lot of the attention that we hear on cable news or oftentimes on the internet is at a national level. Many people in the city of Richmond that I found when I got active here with the Urban League Greater Richmond Young Professionals weren't aware who represented them locally, who was on their school board, who was on their city council, who was their Commonwealth attorney. Many people really just were unaware of the political process, and so I decided to get active and engaged to bring more people into that process.
So if you were elected, what are some things that you would like the city to do?
If I'm honored with being elected on November 5th, one is making sure we are addressing our school infrastructure. Many of our young people here in the city of Richmond go to schools that don't have proper heating in the wintertime. They don't have air conditioning in the summer and in warm months here in the city of Richmond. So making sure we are fully funding Richmond public schools, but more importantly, investing in our young people, especially around summer job opportunities, making sure we're putting money in the budget to make sure our young people have access to the Mayor's Youth Academy so they can get employment in the summertime.
So aside from funding schools, another issue is property tax. How do you plan to handle that?
One is making sure is that we are not overly taxing, especially our elders. Many of the elders that I've talked to throughout the 5th District are seeing increased property tax evaluations. But also many of our elders are not in the tax abatement programs that the city offers. So making sure we're working with our faith community, but also our community organizations to make sure many of our elders are actually in these programs and that they're not being priced out of Richmond. And another way we're going to have to address making sure is that people have access to workforce and affordable housing in our city. And that includes working with our builders, but also our housing advocates and also our residents to making sure we're increasing our supply of housing in different parts of the city of Richmond.
So let's get a little bit more specific. What do you feel like is the biggest issue facing the 5th District currently?
I would say the biggest issue facing the 5th District is also the biggest issue facing us as a city of Richmond, and that's the state of our public schools, particularly our infrastructure that we talked about earlier, but also pathways for our young people to move up in life. Many of them are not prepared for college, but also we're not investing in alternative forms of education, especially around skilled labor and tech training here in the city of Richmond. I think we have a tremendous opportunity to invest in our workforce and ultimately invest in our most important asset, which is our people here in the city of Richmond.
So another major topic that everyone's talking about throughout the city is the $1.5 billion plan to renovate the Coliseum. What's your take on that?
So I'm all about economic development here in the city of Richmond. We are growing for the first time in 50 years as a city. I serve on our Master Plan Advisory Commission. But with that opportunity and growth, we have to make sure we're spending our tax dollars appropriately and efficiently, but more so we're transparent about how we operate as a city. This current proposal that we have does not lay out, one, a transparent process of how we're getting to this point, but also doesn't lay out how we're making sure that Richmonders have a role in building Richmond. We haven't set aside a plan for actually how we're going to employ all these workers, but more importantly, make sure they get paid on-site job training for in-demand skilled labor certifications here in the city of Richmond. So I do not support the current proposal that is presented to City Council, but we have to make sure not only just with this proposal, but all aspects of city government, we are acting a lot more efficiently here in the city of Richmond.
So overall, what message would you like to convey to the people as to why they should just ultimately choose you as the 5th District person, ultimately choose you as the person to represent the 5th District?
One, we're running a campaign based on the issues that we hear every day on the doors talking to voters. Issues around affordable housing, issues around making sure we're spending our tax dollars efficiently, but more so making sure we're investing in our school infrastructure and young people. As I said earlier, the city of Richmond is growing for the first time in 50 years. It has an energy about it that it has never had, and we have to capitalize on that energy. But more importantly is that as our city grows, we have to make sure we grow together. And that's why residents of the 5th District should vote for me on November 5th.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Mr. McCoy. And one more thing, if people would like to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
Yes, you can go to my website, which is McCoy, FORRVA.com, and also follow us on social media at McCoyforRVA.com, at McCoyforRVA, both on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
For VCU, I'm Adjoa Henderson.
Nice. Great job.